This is a story about a friend of mine. I don't know if you know him or not, but his name is Friar Tuck. Pretzel Garden Audio presents the story of Friar Tuck and the Popcorn Party. Created by Shields Bilasek. Story told by Keith Bosher. Friar Tuck and Ralph were sitting outside one summer afternoon when they decided it was time to make a snack. "Ralph, what should we eat? I'm hungry."
"I'm not sure,"
replied Ralph.
"Maybe you should make some popcorn."
"Great idea," said Friar Tuck. And with that, he jumped out of the hammock and ran inside to the kitchen. In the kitchen, he found a large bag full of popcorn. Ralph had just bought it at the grocery store 2 days ago and hadn't had a chance to put it away. It was a special type of white popcorn, the type which pops really high in the air and tastes really good with lots of butter and salt. Friar Tuck walked over and opened up the kitchen window. "Hey, how much of this do you need to cook to fill up a pot?" Ralph didn't respond. He was busy swinging in his hammock and listening to music. Friar Tuck decided to yell again, but no response. How hard could cooking popcorn really be? I'll just pour in the bag and we can start with that." Now, this bag of popcorn was really, really, really big. And what Friar Tuck didn't know was that normally you just need a little to cook a whole bunch. One small cup of kernels would cook more than enough popcorn for many friends to eat. I'm sure you know this already. Friar Tuck walked over to the kitchen cupboard and pulled out 2 of the largest pots he could find. They were quite large. He then proceeded to add a bit of oil into the pots and place them both on the stove. Next, he took the large bag of popcorn and carried it over to the large pots. "This looks great! We'll eat like kings tonight. Now, just dump in the bag, right?" "Yeah, I think that'll be fine." "Sure." Friar Tuck opened the bag and began pouring it into the first pot. The pot filled quickly and popcorn began spilling onto the floor. "Oops," he said, but he kept pouring, now filling the second pot up to the top. Popcorn had now spilled all over the kitchen, but Friar Tuck didn't mind. He was hungry and ready to eat. Though Friar Tuck had already poured quite a lot of popcorn out of the bag, he still had more. "This gives me an idea. Let's just cook it all. 2 for me and 2 pots for you, Ralph," he said, walking back over to the cabinet. "Actually, 3 for me and 1 for you. Yeah, that sounds good. Ralph, you won't mind, will you?" Ralph didn't respond, though. He had fallen asleep in the hammock. Friar Tuck then poured the remainder of the popcorn into the pots. "All right, time for blast off!" Friar Tuck turned on the stove. He then quickly jumped into position and began his countdown. T-5, 4, 3, 2... Friar Tuck covered his ears. 1, blast off! His eyes were now closed, and Friar Tuck held very still. But nothing happened. Not even a single kernel popped. Friar Tuck began to wonder. Had he done something wrong? This has taken a long time. Maybe I should turn up the heat a bit. So he did. Higher and higher it went, until it went to the highest level. The flames were now beating wildly around the pots, and they were glowing bright red and yellow. Friar Tuck watched the flames dancing and then let out a big yawn. He had missed his afternoon nap, and it was now catching up with him. "I think I'll go upstairs and take a little rest," he said to himself. "I know I'll hear it when it starts to pop. Then I can come back down." The popcorn, indeed, was not popping. Instead, the pans were heating up and getting very hot. Maybe it would take just a few more minutes. Just enough time for a short cat nap, or better yet, a hamster nap. Friar Tuck walked up the stairs toward the bedroom and then climbed into the top bunk. I've been needing to relax." And very quickly, Friar Tuck fell into a deep summer slumber. Ralph was also fast asleep in the hammock outside, and nobody was watching the popcorn. Just then, a loud pop came from the kitchen, then quickly followed by another pop, and then another one. Ralph, who was sound asleep outside, didn't hear a thing, and Friar Tuck, who was now snoring, hardly heard a sound. The pops increased in frequency, and suddenly Friar Tuck heard the noise. As if in a dream, the noise echoed through his head.
Ralph!
He cried out.
There's someone knocking at the door. Can you get it? Ralph! Get the door! Someone's knocking at the door!
And that was when Friar Tuck woke up. He suddenly realized what was happening.
Oh my gosh!
He screamed.
The popcorn! Ralph! The popcorn!
But Ralph was sound asleep. He had put earplugs in, just like he always does, and now he was sleeping like a baby. Friar Tuck jumped out of his bed and ran to the window. He could see Ralph sleeping in the hammock below. He then cleared his throat and then yelled down as loud as he could.
Ralph! Quick! We need to stop the popcorn!
He would have run down and turned it off himself, but the popcorn was already coming up the stairs and toward the bedroom. Friar Tuck yelled again, this time throwing his shoe down and bouncing it off Ralph's head.
Ouch!
Ralph woke up and removed his earplugs.
I need your help! Quick!
But it was too late. Popcorn had already filled the kitchen and now made it impossible to come inside. It was now filling the living room. The popcorn was now moving forward like a sea of lava. Friar Tuck rushed to close the bedroom door. But the popcorn was pushing hard from the other side.
Help!
He yelled.
Stop the popcorn!
Ralph, who was down below, could now see the popcorn pouring out of the bathroom window. Popcorn was quickly filling every space of the house. In one last effort, Friar Tuck tried to close the bedroom door, but with a sudden burst, the popcorn pushed back. It now flooded into the room and straight over Friar Tuck, burying him and then charging straight out of the window and down into the yard below. It looked like a waterfall of white fluff coming out of the second-story window. Where was Friar Tuck? He was buried in the popcorn. Ralph quickly ran around to the front of the house, where he began looking in the windows.
If I can just find which one is open, I can climb in and turn off the stove.
But it was impossible. The house was completely filled. Then he knew what he had to do.
I need to turn off the gas. That'll stop the popcorn. Yes,
he said, and quickly began running to the back of the house. At the back of the house, he reached for the gas pipe. It was a silver and gray pipe with a bright red handle. He grabbed the red handle and pushed it forwards. The gas was now cut off, but the popcorn kept popping. Ralph could hear it, and it was now pouring out of the chimney. Then, a few more pops, and finally, it was all over. Ralph stood looking upwards towards the bedroom window.
Friar Tuck, he yelled, how much popcorn did you use? Did you use a small cup like I told you?
As Friar Tuck popped his head out of the bedroom window, more popcorn spilled out. He had a mouthful of it and was chewing loudly. He looked happy, very happy.
Oops! Darn it, Friar Tuck. Our house is so full of popcorn, this is going to take us at least 3 weeks to clean up. You need to figure out a solution right now.
Still leaning out the window and chewing another handful of popcorn, Friar Tuck scratched his head.
Let's have a popcorn party. We can invite the whole town. Everyone can have all the popcorn they can eat.
Ralph stood silently below. Most ideas Friar Tuck had usually worked out, and this one sounded pretty good. The rest of the afternoon was spent with Friar Tuck and Ralph riding their bikes all around town. Friar Tuck had brought his red megaphone. Remember the one he used to save the Halloween parade? He was now blasting the air horn and loudly announcing,
Free popcorn!
popcorn party! All-you-can-eat popcorn! Come and get it! Friends and neighbors from all around town came out to celebrate. They began forming a long line in front of Friar Tuck and Ralph's house. Friar Tuck and Ralph continued spreading the news. Bring your buckets! Bring your hats! Bring your shovels! Popcorn party!
Someone bring a bulldozer!
Ralph shouted out. Finally, when everyone was in front of the house, Friar Tuck walked up to the front door. Is everybody ready for some fun? 1, 2, 3. Now remember, up until now, no one had opened the door or let any of the popcorn escape. So all the popcorn inside the house had created an enormous pressure, which was pushing up against the inside of the door. Just then, Friar Tuck opened that door, and the flood of popcorn rushed out. It was like a giant white tidal wave, knocking over Friar Tuck and Ralph, and flowing straight out into the crowds of people. Wild cheers and yells could be heard as the popcorn buried everyone and quickly spread out in all directions. Then there was silence. The entire front yard had been covered in a 3-foot-deep avalanche of bright, white, fluffy popcorn. From a distance, it looked like a snowstorm had hit. Everyone began scrambling as fast as they could to fill their bags, hats, pots, and pans. People were smiling and laughing, and a few of them were even throwing popcorn into the air.
Not too bad,
Ralph said, chewing a big mouthful of popcorn. Friar Tuck and Ralph then lay down in the deep white fluff and began to make snow angels. It was the biggest popcorn party anyone had ever seen. When it was all done and everyone had left, you might like to know that there was still quite a lot of popcorn to clean up, including a bathtub full of popcorn, a chimney full of popcorn, and even a bedroom full of popcorn. Ralph and Friar Tuck ate popcorn breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 3 weeks before they cleaned up all that giant mess. Wow, that was a lot of popcorn. Now, you probably would have guessed, but I might as well tell you. Friar Tuck is not allowed to cook popcorn anymore, at least without help. The story of Friar Tuck and the Popcorn Party is one of many available as paperbacks or downloadable MP3 files available for playback on any computer or handheld device. Why not visit us right now at pretzelgarten.com?